If you've struggled with recurring headaches, you've probably asked yourself this question more times than you can count. Why do they keep coming back? Not, how do I stop this one? But, why does another one always come? Headaches have a way of stealing life from us. They ruin family outings. They force us to cancel plans we've been looking forward to. They cost us days at work. They interrupt vacations. And even after the pain finally goes away, something else remains. The worry. When will the next headache hit? When we're hurting, we all want relief. Of course we do. That's why Americans spend billions of dollars every year trying to stop headaches. Pain relievers, prescription medications, supplements, special pillows, massage, ice packs, heating pads, and many of those things can help. But here's the question I want you to think about today. What if the headache isn't actually the problem? What if it's simply your body's way of telling you something else is wrong? Over the past 45 years, I've cared for thousands of patients with chronic health problems, including recurring headaches. One lesson has become clearer with every passing year. The pain is in your head, but the problem often begins somewhere else. Today, I'd like to show you one of the most overlooked causes of recurring headaches. Once you see it, you'll understand why so many different headaches can actually have the same origin. Hi, I'm Dr. George Springer. When people think about headaches, they usually think about the head. That makes sense. That's where the pain is. But one of the things I learned years ago is that symptoms don't always tell us where the problem started. A person may have pain in the knee, but the problem is actually in the hip, pain in the shoulder, but the cause is in the neck. Headaches are often exactly the same way. Yes, there are many causes of headaches. Hormones, high blood pressure, neck injuries, vision problems, even serious neurological conditions. Those all deserve appropriate medical evaluation. But after caring for patients for decades, I began noticing something remarkable. People with completely different headache patterns often had one thing in common. The common denominator wasn't their head, it was their gut. Today I want to show you 4 different ways an unhealthy gut can trigger headaches. Each pathway is different, but every one of them begins in exactly the same place. Trigger 1, your body's own toxins. Let's start with something that surprises almost everyone. Imagine your body producing toxins every single day. Not from pollution, not from pesticides, not from chemicals, from inside your own intestines. That's exactly what can happen. Inside your digestive tract lives an enormous community of bacteria, yeast, viruses, and other microorganisms known as the microbiome. When those organisms are balanced, they become one of your greatest allies. They help digest food, produce vitamins, support your immune system, protect the intestinal lining. But when that balance changes because of poor diet, stress, medications, or other factors, less friendly microbes begin to take over. And those organisms produce toxic waste products called endotoxins. At first, those toxins stay inside the intestines. But as they build up, they irritate the intestinal lining. Inflammation develops. The intestinal barrier begins losing its protective function. Eventually, those endotoxins begin leaking into the bloodstream. Now the immune system responds, inflammation spreads throughout the body. And for many people, one of the earliest warning signs is recurring headaches. The liver connection. Now the story becomes even more interesting. Everything absorbed from your intestines travels directly to your liver, including these endotoxins. Now your liver has another job. Instead of simply processing nutrients and hormones and detoxifying your body, it's trying to manage an inflammatory burden coming from the gut. When that burden continues long enough, normal liver function can become less efficient. That can influence hormone metabolism, detoxification, even how your body handles alcohol. Have you ever wondered why some women consistently develop headaches around their menstrual cycle? Or why someone gets a headache after only a couple sips of wine? For many people, the liver has become overloaded, not because the liver is diseased, but because it's continually processing inflammatory toxins coming from an unhealthy gut. What's fascinating is that this often happens with very few digestive symptoms, and routine liver enzyme tests may still look perfectly normal. That's one reason this connection is so often missed. Trigger 2, when the immune system becomes too sensitive. The second pathway starts with exactly the same gut imbalance. Those endotoxins don't simply create inflammation. They keep the immune system constantly activated. Over time, the immune system becomes more reactive. Eventually, it starts responding to things outside the body that previously caused no problem at all. Seasonal allergies, dust, perfumes, cleaning products, smoke, strong fragrances. Maybe you've developed headaches right across the forehead or behind your eyes. Maybe scents that never bothered you 10 years ago suddenly trigger a headache today. Different trigger, same origin. An unhealthy gut quietly training the immune system to overreact. Trigger 3, the gut-brain conversation. Now let's look at something you've probably heard about, the gut-brain connection. Your intestines and your brain communicate every minute of every day. When inflammation develops in the gut, the nervous system inside your digestive tract sends distress signals upward. The brain responds, nerve pathways become more active, blood vessels inside the brain respond, pain pathways become sensitized, the headache develops, the pain is in your head, the conversation began in your gut, different pathway, same origin. Trigger 4. The fourth pathway is probably the one I encounter most often in clinical practice. Many people have heard of leaky gut. Unfortunately, most assume it's simply a digestive problem. It's much bigger than that. When tiny gaps develop between the cells lining the intestine, larger food proteins can slip into the bloodstream before they've been completely broken down. Your immune system immediately recognizes those proteins as foreign. It creates a memory. The next time you eat that food, the immune system launches an inflammatory response. One of the chemicals released during that response is histamine. Most people associate histamine with allergies. But histamine has another important effect. It causes blood vessels to dilate. For many people, that's exactly what triggers their headache. Different mechanism, same origin, the gut. Now let's step back and look at the whole picture. 4 completely different pathways. Endotoxins with liver overload, immune hypersensitivity and allergies, the gut-brain connection, histamine released from food sensitivities caused by leaky gut. At first glance, they look unrelated, but they're not. Every road leads back to the same place, the gut. This is one of the biggest lessons I've learned after more than 45 years of practice. The symptom isn't always where the problem begins. The headache may be in your head, but the origin may be somewhere completely different. Now, balancing the gut involves much more than simply taking a probiotic, drinking bone broth, or avoiding wheat. Those things may help some people. But restoring gut health completely requires addressing 5 specific factors that work together. Explaining all of them would take much longer than we have in this video. If you'd like to learn exactly what those 5 factors are and how they work together, I've created additional resources that explain the entire process in much greater detail. You'll find those on my website linked in the description below. One of the greatest privileges of my career has been watching patients who suffered from headaches for years finally say, "I don't get them anymore." That's what I hope for you. If this video helped you see headaches from a completely different perspective, I'd appreciate it if you'd like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may be searching for answers they've never heard before. I'm Dr. George Springer. Thank you for watching. And remember, the pain may be in your head, but the problem may have started somewhere else. I'll see you in the next video.